Hi guys, welcome back to the Strange Orphan podcast. Is my mic on? It's been a while. How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing out there? In case you forgot, we still exist. This is still a podcast. I'm still here. I hope everybody's been having a really okay Mercury retrograde. For me personally, it's been a brutal couple of weeks. Somebody online wrote, this Mercury retrograde came with a gun. And I was like, well said, stranger. Because it does feel that way. This Mercury retrograde felt like a duel that I was in that I lost to myself. This has been a very interesting 4 weeks. And yeah, I think I'm going to try and catch you guys up on life in this episode. And I took the past couple of weeks off just to kind of do some processing. Here's what I hate. Here's what I absolutely hate about the current state of content in our world. I don't like pumping out things undigested. I like to regurgitate my cud over and over like a cow until it becomes something frothy and nutritious for you, fortifying for you in your bones. I don't want to just give you the raw bile. I want to make it into actual milk. That's a disgusting analogy. But what I'm getting at is like, I needed some time to process what's been going on with me. I guess you could just say like I had a major realization about something I do that's unhealthy. And it's not just something I do. It's really like, it's like a way I am and something that I wanted to just give up. And so this is a kind of a hard episode to encapsulate in a way because it's sort of ongoing. And I also think it's ongoing for a lot of people that I know that are going through it right now. But it's like this feeling of like, oh, I've come to the end of myself. Like I've sort of run out of tarmac on me. This place of like discovering like the ways in which you've been like your old charms and your old tactics and the ways that you've primarily functioned in the world. Like a large essence of your functional being has like, you realize it's completely defunct and it's obsolete. And those ways of being are not getting you further. They're actually just hindering you from having the life you want. You just run out of room. And it's like that feeling where you're like, oh, nothing I'm doing is working anymore. It's not that just like nothing is showing up. It's like the actions that I'm taking aren't working. So something's up. And it's a very uncomfortable place to be. So to give you some context for all of this and to kind of pedal back to what I've learned in this morass of 4 weeks. I recently went back to a city I used to live in, thinking that I was meant to move back there. And that this was the right move. And let me tell you, I was like geared up for this move. I was like really excited. And when I got there, I was really happy to be there. It was pretty tough though. It was like I brought a bulldog to a 100-degree state. And I sort of was like, oh, this no longer feels right. What happened? Like it was right before. Why is this not working? It was sort of like that expression, like you can't step in the same river twice. Like there was no there all of a sudden. And I'm finding that so much. I think for a lot of us, change is happening at a rapid pace for so many of us that if you were to go back to something that worked for you even just like a year ago, it's no longer the case. It's no longer a place that will work for you in that aspect. I think a lot of us are changing very, very rapidly. And it's like Lot's wife, like you can't go back. There's no going back. So what happened was I got there and I kept trying to make it work and I kept trying to have a good attitude. And sometimes you get yourself into things oftentimes we're called to places, new places, and they suck at first, and we have to kind of rough it out. After 3 months, I realized this wasn't one of those scenarios. This wasn't a place that I had to rough it out and just grit my teeth because I was called there. What I came to realize was that this was my own doing. This was my own means of control. And what I had done was I had tried to prematurely usurp a period of preparation, and I had tried to escape that forest of nothing, that forest of in between where you're just being asked to grow a little bit more. Christine Kane is a really great minister, and she has this quote where she's like, nothing will test your faith like nothing. And it's true. It's like a lot of times you just don't see anything that's happening in the non-material plane, right? Because material is the heaviest energy. And so everything vibrates at a different frequency. And if you're changing and you're growing and you're shedding heavier emotions, well, you don't see what's happening in your 3D until it shows up later. So there's periods of just nothing, right? There's just periods of growth, emotional growth, spiritual growth, whatever. I tried to get out of them because this is where I come in with this show premise. Because for a lot of us, that period of nothing is where we were hit the hardest. It's where the threat came in. It's where it wasn't safe to be in the nothing. And so you were scanning, you're vigilant. You're like, I need a plan. I need to figure out my next move, or I'm lazy, or I'm not thinking 3 steps ahead, or I'm not. What I learned about myself in this process is like, these are my plans that are ruining my life. Who knew? But yeah, essentially I tried to go back to what once was, thinking, this is the next move. This is where the energy was. This is a great idea. This is where things are a little more exciting. And I was a happier person there, frankly. And what we don't realize is like, there is no going back. There is no going back. When things crumble, there's no going back to them. And I think I've spent so much time, when my life kind of like did a life collapse and I came out of one career and I moved into another, and all these things were transpiring and happening at the same time, and just devastations. And you tell yourself, in order to like stabilize, like, I'm going to get back to normal. I'm going to get back to. And that's not the right way to frame it in your mind, because you're not going back. There is no back. Like, I didn't know until recently, like, the reason it all crumbled is because you weren't supposed to go back to it. Like, we tell ourselves we want to get back to normal, but there really wasn't a normal. There was just like a version of you coping desperately to be in that state. So there's no going back, and back probably wasn't that great is what I've come to learn. And so I had a whole breakdown on just like really reevaluating how my attempts to fix my life are actually ruining it. I think this happens a lot around 37, 40. There's a point where like your ego starts to really battle with your soul. Brene Brown talks about it a lot too. It's like, she calls it like the shakeup. And basically your old identity, this old version of self, it just can't come with you to where your soul is dragging you to. And so you wind up in a duel with yourself. It's like, one of you's got to die, and it's not going to be your soul. It's not going to be your soul. So slowly you start to run out of landing strip on yourself, and slowly you start to kind of just like crumble to your knees, and you're like, I have no more plays in the playbook. I got nothing else. And if you still try to force things at that point, it just becomes a bigger crisis. Like, that's when you start to like lose, your hair. And this is primarily when people lose things that are no longer aligned. You lose your marriage, you lose your career, you lose your friends, you lose friends that just fall off. You lose identities that you no longer can buy into. It's like, oh no, I've taken this clown car of coping mechanisms with me as far as I can take it. And I'm just dragging all these old behaviors and old coping mechanisms around, exhausting myself and exhausting all these routes that don't work anymore. The life that you have as you know it can no longer go any further. And you're presented with a choice. You can either drag it behind you exhaustively, or you can throw it in the fire. I really like Eckhart Tolle for this stuff because he's always saying like suffering is great because suffering is, it gives us like the impetus for change. Like suffering tells you, oh, you just need to take something off. You need to let something go. He makes it sound like it's so easy. But these parts of us that are really hard to let go, sometimes they're our entire personalities. And I can say like control and my methods of saving myself is like probably the majority of my personality. And without it, it's like, well, then who am I if I can't save myself anymore? But again, like if all your attempts are no longer working, you need new attempts. Like you brought an ice pick to a water park. What are you doing? Get rid of that. You need sunscreen and a snorkel. But this isn't easy stuff to do. Like if your instincts has always been, oh, I have to save us. I have to get myself out of here. It's going to be so hard to sit in that discomfort of, I have to allow something greater to talk to me and to tell me, or to just something greater is going to come through and meet me where I'm at. And it's not going to be my force. It's going to be like something through grace. And that is a concept that isn't easy for the wounded, like allowing the grace of a higher being to meet you in your life and give you some sort of open door. It takes a lot of guts to allow that stuff and to not keep chasing what has worked in the past that you know is not working anymore. That's like dragging around a dead horse. You know, it dawned on me in moving again. I was still repeating an old cycle of kind of running from home and running from love. And I was definitely running from the support that I had in the previous place because I just couldn't see it as support. I saw it kind of as suffocating or overbearing or boring. But my goggles for seeing love and for seeing home, they needed to mature and they needed to change as well. So I couldn't even see what I had as good because I was just so used to home is something entirely chaotic and different and tumultuous and problematic, something that I had to fix. So it was already running in my programming that like home is something I need to get in front of. And then you exhaust yourself repeatedly realizing like, no, my methods are just old and stupid and from a wounded place. And what's actually the more loving and healthy version of home was something I had completely rejected. How bonkers is that? So it's not just like, oh, I need to put down my armor. No, you have to put down a person who sees the world in a certain way. You have to become a different person. It's like once you've exhausted all this stuff, you're like, oh, I've outgrown myself. I've outgrown this version of my life. Because I don't have the energy to try any more attempts. I'm fully surrendered to what wants to meet me where I'm at now. And I've also resigned to the fact that it takes a lot of faith to just be, and to just be in the unknown, and to not be planning your next move or feeling like you need to run to the next place, to not just like feel like you're a sitting duck all the time, which I'm sure a lot of us do when things are kind of like quiet waters. Like laying down your armor when it's not serving you anymore is a very, very frightening feeling. It feels very vulnerable and disarming, and you can kind of feel a little bit like you're in the void, where you don't know what your new armor will be. And what I've come to realize is like, you don't need to be fixated on armor at all. Your vision needs to 360-degree change to like a different department. You need to be thinking about like love, and is this an environment where I feel loved and supported, and where I feel calm and peaceful, and then I can be in tune with myself. And so I feel like I've kind of been running in this hallway between these two people, and I just want to pick a door and shut the door on the other one. And that, that comes with grief too. It can feel really quite strange leaving an old self behind a shut door. There's actually a German word that is called like the shutting of the door, the panic that comes from the shutting of the door. It's called like Schloss panic or something. Schloss. I gotta look at it. Wait. Yeah, it's called like Torchloose panic. Torchloose panic. It's the panic of the shutting door. It's a perfect word. There's that feeling of like, I don't think it's exactly the right word for what we're talking about. That's more of like the panic of like time is running out, like you're aging. But I'm using it. I think it works. I think it's like there's a period of time that's ending and there's no going back to it. And whether it's a version of yourself or a time frame that you don't want to entirely close the door on, I think the most important thing is like these transformations. It's not, they're always going to happen. Like we're always going to be in this stage, right? And then there'll be another one and there'll be another one. But this is really a pivotal time to say, am I looking at this situation through the lens of my heart, through the lens of like faith that something good will meet me here? Or am I looking at the situation through the lens of how can I control this? Essentially fear. How can I get in front of something that I don't know where it is, but I feel that there's something I need to get in front of? How can I overwork myself to the bone, right? To like get the leg up. And with so much change happening and so many people shifting from one life to a new life, that fear is going to be there, but it's not going to help you out. It's like taking the reality of the situation, whether it be the loss of a career path, the loss of a marriage, the loss of a family, the loss of an identity a little bit, the loss of a friend group, whatever. It's shifting out of like, well, how can I just get the new thing that's going to feel good? You know that feeling when you're nervously paddling to a new shore. If you can shift out of that feeling into how can I stay in the right heart posture so that the right new fill in the blank meets me here where I'm at. I don't need to chase it. I don't need to get an airplane ticket. I don't need to move my address. I just need to be still. And then I have to have faith that it'll happen. I need to have faith that that exists. Those things, they're not easy to do. These are like, it's like you need to constantly remind yourself. There's no going back to what you had. There's only going forward. And I think the more we try to get back to something that we had that felt good at that time or replicating that, it's like it's only going to bog you down. You're only going to be going back when You need to be going forward into the new and embracing the new. And doing that first requires like a funeral for your old self. No one tells you that the end of your seasons of waiting and wilderness and transformations, like, oh, now you throw yourself into the fire and you come out something new. Everybody talks about alchemization, and it's like, yeah, I thought I was just supposed to cry for a little while, and then I would just like pop out and be like, I'm good now. I thought I was supposed to like work on some aspects of self and then pop out and be like, all right, let's party. Let's go back to that. Let's go back to that feeling that we have. And it's like, no. You won't be returning to that you again. You're going to have a new landscape. You're going to have a new you. And that's naturally scary and sad because like, it's so hard to say goodbye to yourself that saved you. Like it's so hard to be like, all right, I know you're the version of me that saved my life for 36, however many years, but you gotta go now. Bye. Into the fire you go. How awful, right? I see it sometimes where it's like, I'm in a duel in the dressing rooms. I'm a millennial. We're the best. But I go into a dressing room like a person with multiple personalities. I don't know how to dress myself anymore. I don't know if I'm like a woman at Eileen Fisher who just wants to be casual and open an art gallery. And I don't know if I'm like a tartish little Gen Z preteen. I don't know if I'm Zoe Kravitz. I don't know what I'm doing. Every day right now feels like a person with multiple personalities. And I hope that's a part of the process and I'm not just extremely messed up. I don't know. But I've stopped shopping for a while just because I'm like, we need to figure out who we are before we spend any more money. I'm not wasting any more money on tennis skirts and Vans. Who are you? So I'm done doing that. But yeah, it's definitely been a strange period. That's for sure. I do have some advice for it. You know, I took a little bit of advice. I hate giving advice like I have any. Sometimes I even feel like doing this podcast. I'm like, who? I don't know anything, really. I really don't know anything. I want to make that very clear. We should put this at the top. I don't know anything. I'm just sharing what I've recently, again, dissolved in my gut and regurgitated back up for you. Like the frothy byproduct with love, right? These are just thoughts. So some advice if you're in this place where I'm at, where you don't know what clothes to wear anymore and you don't know how to stop freaking messing your life up with control and you just want to get to the new thing, but you keep feeling like you're spinning your wheels. You're just tires on cement. Okay, I hear you. So here's some advice. I think the first thing that I would suggest is to stop forcing outcomes. I would say stop doing stuff. Like, because the odds are you're working off of a spreadsheet from the past, right? So like me going back to a former city is a spreadsheet from the past, right? These are stats that worked. Well, they worked 2 years ago. The amount of growth and progress, I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, the amount of growth and progress we're doing on a soul level, that's going to put you who knows where, but it's not going to put you in the past. So stop planning things. Also, you don't have enough information yet. I think the whole point of being in a period of growth is like, we don't know what the new thing that's going to meet us is. It could be a baby. It could be a new relationship. It could be a new job. It could be a lot of things. It could be a completely new interest that you don't know you have yet. You're basically being assigned a new set of cards that you don't know what they are yet. And so unless your current circumstances are truly painful and agonizing and harmful towards you, don't do anything. Don't move out of them. Just be in the discomfort of the of the unknown now. And don't waste your energy. Do nothing. I'm going to do a whole episode on this next about energy, about how we waste our freaking energy out of pure discomfort. But you can really kind of run yourself ragged by doing things that are unnecessary. So just stop doing stuff just because you're uncomfortable. Deal with it. Just sit still. I'm talking to myself right now. And then like get comfortable with the potentiality of the new. I think, again, when a lot of things crumble, we have this instinct to say, well, I just need to get back to my old weight or my old program. I just need to get back to where I felt the best. And I think the better way to put it is like, what's the new good? What's the new version of feeling good? I'm 40 now, and I've never been 40 before, and I don't know how to do it. I'm trying to do it in my own iteration that feels right, but I'm also trying to do it in a way that's me not trying to go back to 32. It's a really strange thing. It's like I want to do what feels fresh and new and open, but I don't want to try to repeat the past. I don't want to try to repeat a place that felt okay for me. I want to really embrace the new stuff that's coming in, and the new, like the bigness of what I've been building my capacity for, what we've been kind of growing into. So get comfortable with new stuff instead of trying to go back to the stupid old stuff. Start that project. Do that business even though it's uncomfortable. Me pretending I know stuff, very uncomfortable. This, very uncomfortable. I wish I was a man all the time. I wish I was a man all the time. I'd have such a good podcast if I was a man who believed in himself. And get off your phone. The thing about downloads and the thing about finding new stuff, it really requires stillness, which is the whole thing we're uncomfortable with. But to get the downloads, you got to be still and quiet and calm and not freaking out like a little lab rat lost in the big city. So just get off your phone for the downloads, or you're going to be working off someone else's plans, and you don't want to do that. And I'll just say this one more time. Don't try to outrun the nothing. The nothing is where magic happens. The nothing is where God is like the cook in the kitchen with his back to you. And you're like, oh, I wonder what he's making. Is it for me? And it's like, no, there's 3 tables in front of you. No, you're going to wait a little bit longer. But get comfortable with sitting in the restaurant, knowing you've placed your order. I think that's one of the hardest things. Is like, I don't know what the new thing will be for me. I know the things I'm kind of working on, and they're very terrifying. But sometimes getting into alignment with yourself takes a long time. And I've said this before, but I think getting into alignment with yourself and getting back into a place of knowingness and truth within yourself, it takes as much time as it probably did all those years not being in alignment. Meaning there's a ratio between coming back into alignment with yourself versus how many years you spent out of alignment with yourself. So being in the awkwardness of saying goodbye to an old way of being. Let me put it this way. Every day you wake up, you might be in that hallway again of having to choose which way to view the world, which way to be in the world. And every day you might have to die another death of an old self. And I think just try to let that play out over and over again. It takes a lot of time for the brain to create neural pathways that kind of harness in a way of being. And sleep. I've been sleeping a lot. There's no easy way to be a person, right? Especially if you come from trauma or anything like that. I'm looking right now at a luggage tag I put on my bag. It says heavy. It's like, you know how the airlines give out those big bright orange tags that say heavy, and then they put the weight on the 52 pounds. I have carried so much heavy baggage around, constantly moving, and it just weighs you down. And it's like, I don't have to do this. I don't have to do this. And I think we think we have to carry this stuff around. We think we have to be moving. And really, it's just trauma. It's just the feeling that you have to outrun something and outsmart something, when really that something is trying to give you something good. If you would just surrender to where you are and be there and meet it fully with an open heart. It sounds easy, but it's kind of difficult. Or maybe it's not. Let's just make it easy, right? All right, well, that's it for this week, guys. Stop lugging your heavy baggage around. Dump it. And if you're in the same place I am, please give a shout out. I'd really love to hear what some of you guys are going through as well. It's always nice to get perspective on the process for, just reflection in general. But congratulations, because Mercury retrograde is over today. Then hopefully we'll know who we are in the dressing rooms. Hopefully we'll know what clothes to buy. All right. Very much love to you guys out there. And take it easy. Be good. Take care. Bye.